we have another session that is also going to give us another broadening of perspective. And this is led by Orna Farrell, Dr. Ona, from DCU. We've had her on screen before. I know Lisa Donaldson is joining her, but Orna, I'm going to hand over to you, and I know you're going to do the full introductions yourself.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. It's been an ePortfolio marathon so far. It's been fantastic and really great to hear the student voice as well. So hopefully we'll continue with those themes now. I'm just going to share a screen. So hopefully you can see that okay, can you?
Yeah.
Super. So myself and Lisa Donaldson, my esteemed colleague, are going to talk to you today about student perspectives on learning. So to continue that theme, here we are. I work as head of open education in DCU, which is looks after all of our online programs. And Lisa is a fabulous learning technologist and ePortfolio, I think self-appointed ePortfolio champion, perhaps, Lisa.
Yeah, it's the title that I've chosen. There are other names people call me, but yes, we'll go.
Yeah, I think we should. I think it's a great job title. It should be a job title. So we're delighted to talk to you here today. And I suppose while we're here, I'm going to plug ePortfolio Ireland, although you've seen some of our resources in the chat earlier. But myself and Lisa are half of, I suppose, it'll start slightly less than half of the ePortfolio Ireland steering group. So we're a professional learning network. It used to be kind of higher ed professionals, but it's really broadened out. There's further ed, there's second level. So really, we're happy to welcome anyone who'd like to join us in our events. We've professional learning. We like to take on projects like the ebook, the Create-a-thon recently there in partnership with Able. So there's our website, and very welcome to anyone to come along. And we have some resources on there as well you can take a look at. One of our current projects is a special issue on ePortfolio. So the first batch of articles was published during the summer, and the second are just about to come out. So there's 8 more articles coming out, hopefully by the end of November. We've just finished the copy editing of them. And this morning I was starting to think about the editorial. So Lisa, that's on our to-do list as well. So we're delighted with this. This is a kind of a big step forward for us. So we'll have a sum total of 12 articles, mainly on ePortfolio in Ireland, but we actually have a few friends further afield. There's 2 from Canada and 1 from Germany as well. And I think, Tracy, you probably know some of the Canadians. It's a big crew from Athabasca, led by Deborah Hoven. And they have a lovely article coming out about their study about Canadian universities' use of ePortfolio. So that's forthcoming, and we're hoping to have a launch, so you may get an invitation to that too. Just to give you a flavour of our article in the special issue. So myself, Lisa, Tom and Karen Buckley did a study about what was happening in Ireland in terms of ePortfolio. Because one thing we found through our practice, there was very little evidence or research about what was happening in Ireland. So we conducted a study to try and find out how were people using ePortfolio, how are they supporting it, what kind of technology were they using, what were their experiences, and how are they getting on implementing ePortfolio in their institutions. So this is the result of this. This is just a few little pieces of the data. The levels of adoption there were interesting. So we used the framework from, I think it's from the Einan and Gambino book about stages of adoption. So you could see most people thought that they're at quite early stages of adoption. In terms of what were people using Portfolio for, the things you think they would be. So assessment was big, placement was big, reflective learning. One thing that was starting to grow was academic, teaching and professional staff using it to collect evidence of their learning also, so their professional learning. So that's an interesting growth area. Also some other areas that are kind of new in terms of So co-curricular areas, that was definitely starting to come up, peer learning. So some new interesting ones, emerging areas. So that'll be published in the next week or two. You can check it out. To bring this more back to focus on students and away from the kind of broader Irish context, just like to highlight two other articles that may be of interest. The one there, the top one in distance education, is my own, and that was actually my PhD research on ePortfolio based in Trinity College. So to continue the web of Trinity College, and I followed a group of online students for a year learning with an ePortfolio. So that very much captures their experience. And some of the things Lane and Alex were saying resonated with me there. One thing I really loved about their portfolios, my students and Lane and Alex, is I love the visual evidence. I love how people document their lives. And you can see there the quote that I used from a student in the title. I'm not simply learning about my learning and regurgitating information. I'm learning about myself, and that still sticks with me. And the other one is kind of a history of portfolio that I wrote recently. That might be a nice introductory article. So that's enough about us. Over to you now. So I'm going to do a few little polls using Vivox. So I'm going to just stop sharing. And I'm going to put this link in the chat. So you can open this in your browser. And really, it's just reusing some of the questions from the study as well. Because one thing we found, which we thought was like a standout finding, is that very few people were evaluating their practice. Almost no one. And that struck us as interesting, because how can you learn if you're not actually evaluating your practice? So hang on, let me just get this presenting. Is everyone managing to open that link? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Yep, that's fine.
Excellent. So you should see this one. Oh, I see 16. That's great. 2 of 16. Hopefully we'll get a fabulous word cloud now. That's what I'm hoping for. It's going up and down, which is odd. Somebody's very unsure. 11, 12, 11, 12. Okay, I'm going to press the stop button. Now. Okay, let's see what we have. Professional, look at that coming out. Accreditation, yes. So that's very much the pharmacy angle, yeah. Documenting, practice, cautiously. Oh, that's a nice one there. Well, it is a new thing, so caution is normal at the start. Self-assessment, lovely. Okay, another question now. How are you supporting students? Now I'm aware there's some students, so I'm sorry, you can't talk about supporting yourself, but you could perhaps talk about how you've been supported. Okay, so we're at about 9, 10 there. 1 second, and then I'm going to press stop. Hopefully we get another nice word cloud. Interview, reflection, evidence, prompts. And I heard both Lane and Alex talk about how they hadn't really got experience of reflection, and that's been consistently what we've experienced here as well. You need to give people support in how to do reflection. Videos, feedback, guidelines, memories. Memories is an interesting one. I'd be curious about what that means if you want to put it in the chat. Exemplars, very important. Lisa's curated really great exemplars here. You might get a chance to show them, Lisa. Okay, next poll. What professional learning related to ePortfolio have you done? And this came up very strongly in our article, but actually the one about Canada, that came up as a big finding, the need for more professional learning in this area. So I'd be curious there about what you have experienced. Is it informal, or is it sessions like one today? National Forum ones? Is it local ones? Is it ePortfolio Ireland? I'm hoping a big ePortfolio Ireland comes up, but you never know. Okay, I'm going to stop it there. Webinars. Of course, it's lots and lots of webinars. Research, absolutely. Moodle Munch. Oh yeah, Moodle Munch is great as well. Training, seminar, institutional able. There we go. Beautiful. And then the very last, I promise, and then I'm going to hand over to my esteemed colleague. Have you evaluated your ePortfolio practice? Again, picking up on just the fact that we noticed that many people self-reported that they didn't evaluate their practice. Lisa's, you're actually doing an evaluation at the moment, Lisa, aren't you?
We are mid-evaluation as we speak, yeah.
That's it, but that's our second, isn't it? Second institutional evaluation. You did one about
immediately after the pilot year. So, but that was 4 years ago. So it did take us, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, look at all the no's. Advanced HE, yeah. But was that an advanced HE? Oh, yeah, I suppose, yeah, it was of your practice, though, probably in a professional capacity in process. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, now I'm just going to switch that. Okay, Lisa, it's over to you now.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. So I'm just going to share screen and get to the right box. Okie dokie. So thank you, Orna, and thanks for setting the scene for kind of the national context. What I really want to do here is bring it back to a more local view of how ePortfolio is being used within the DCU community. So I wanted to share just a couple of things with you, and hopefully I did tick the box for this, because I really want to play this video for you. And I will talk over it as it's playing. Can everybody hear the backtrack? So these are some brief examples of our students' portfolios that they entered into our annual showcase competition. And what it will do is give you a bit of an insight to the variety of uses, the variety of media, and the different approaches that students took to develop their ePortfolio. Actually just going to pause it there because I'm very conscious of our timeline this evening. But I just wanted to give you just a flavor of some of the incredible ePortfolios that our students have shared with us and gave us permission to share here today. With regards to ePortfolio and DCU, we probably have one of the most, I suppose, elongated relationships with ePortfolio of a lot of institutions. We invested in ePortfolio back in 2016 with a pilot program using the Mahara platform, and all the way through to now currently. You can see over time the huge growth and interest in ePortfolio. And I do have to say that, of course, COVID would have been a bit of a tipping point really for ePortfolio practice here in DCU, as our lecturers, as well as everybody else globally, really were seeking out alternative methods to assess students and to allow them to demonstrate their skills and their knowledge. So just to give you a bit of background on how we support up to 15,000 students across DCU now to use the ePortfolio, I'm going to talk specifically around Eterns, who are our student interns who help roll out, support students, and promote ePortfolio across the institution. Eterns have been an incredible help to the programme. But we also offer a comprehensive help for all of our students and for all of our staff. And these resources have been built up over time, including, as you saw, some of those sample portfolios, which can really, I suppose, serve to inspire students when often the concept, and that came out in a comment earlier, the concept of why people are using or lecturers are requesting students to use ePortfolio, there needs to be an understanding around the why. And oftentimes that is missing. So we've attempted to overcome that with a huge wealth of resources. And in our institution, I am the dedicated champion to support ePortfolio. And I would recommend having somebody to be that person, to be the face of ePortfolio, to support lecturers and to work with staff and students, because we found that really helpful. But just to speak more briefly about the Etern program, the Eterns are the heart and soul of our program. I am but one person, and the students are really able to use the channels that other students work across. And there is nothing like being helped by a peer, in my opinion. So they are the heart and soul of Loop Reflect. I have a very, very brief video here that I just want to share before I hand over the reins to Ruby, who is here with us and who is one of our current ePortfolio Eterns. So I'm just going to press play on this.
In art this year, we had an art journal. I'm a second year B.Ed student and I was one of the Loop Eterns with...
Me, I'm Neve and I was a second year B.Ed and I'm also a Loop Etern.
We were talking about the benefits that we found as students for using Loop Reflect for assessment, and I found that it just opens up so much more opportunities for using different types of media for your assessment. Like anytime in art this year, we had an art journal and we had to stick in pictures of the process of what we were making. But our last lecture that we had to do a claymation video. And obviously we couldn't stick a video into a physical arts journal. We had to take one or two pictures from it that we thought kind of captured the whole claymation in itself. Whereas using the ePortfolio, I can just upload that directly and you can get the full effect of the claymation video in itself. So I found that that's really, really helpful using Loop Reflect. And also my technology skills have just gone skyrocketed this year because of it. And I apply all those skills over to kind of other aspects of my college.
I found that it made a lot more sense for me to put my reflections up with videos and pictures as well. Just I felt that it kind of brought it to life a bit more, and also I could kind of structure it in the way that I wanted instead of like as an academic essay or anything. I found it a lot easier to do. The part that I found really helpful was the rubric. I was given a rubric in first year with like exactly what I needed to have in the portfolio, so then I knew that I was hitting all the points and that I was making sure that I got everything in. So I found it very easy to follow that way.
I also think we're really lucky in the B.Ed course. They've rolled it out very well, that they've built a culture around the ePortfolio that I didn't even notice it was a new thing when I came in first year, because everyone was mentioning it in our lectures, like, oh, if you take pictures of this, you can put it on your ePortfolio. Oh, if you video this, you can put it on your ePortfolio. And I think that's one of the main things that we need to tackle in order to get people on board with ePortfolios. It's just building that culture, and it does take work, but it's so worth it in the end, because then everyone's so encouraged and really motivated to actually try it out in the end.
So some words from previous Eterns about their experiences of working with the ePortfolio across the Bachelor of Education program. Just a little bit about the Etern program itself, and you're able to read through those points on the screen as I'm talking. But the Eterns, I said they're their heart and soul. They work with me, they work with other students, and they have a number of roles in helping to support all students across the institution in using ePortfolio. And I'm using this as a bit of an introduction to Ruby, who is hopefully here and ready to just say a few words. I would just give let you know that Ruby was having some technical difficulties with regards to her screen. So hopefully she'll be able to share her insights, because with this piece, we really want you to hear from as many of our students as possible. So Ruby, over to you. Are you able to take the mic?
Yeah, perfect. My screen, I have another, you see the flashing there, that's what's happening over there. But I'm onto this one now. So yeah, thank you, Lisa. So my name is Ruby and I'm a third year studying education and training. I began using Loop Reflect and ePortfolios in my first year in DCO. And as Lisa said, I'm recently in Etern, where I help to promote the use of learning portfolios, and I help other students with creating their own. At the beginning, I didn't really understand what creating a portfolio really meant, but because of COVID, I had a lot of time to mess around with the platform, and any questions I had in it were made available at the resource page that Lisa shown, the comprehensive help, which is really good scaffolding to help with my learning with that. But in general, my experience with creating my portfolio has been really positive. I find that it's a unique way to present evidence of my work, and even as Alex mentioned earlier, something to take home with you. So kind of something to really be proud of. And I also really enjoy making them because it allows me the ability to be creative with how I'm presenting my work, with the layout, the design, and also with the range of media I'm able to upload. And I also felt that these factors made me a lot more engaged with the process. Like, it encouraged me to keep going. It kind of made me a bit excited with how I was laying out my work. And also one thing about my experience with ePortfolios is that I'm always revisiting them. And I didn't really think, I thought I'd make them and I'd have them there and they'd just stay there, but I keep revisiting them. So for interviews or even presentations that I'm doing, I'll go back and look at what I've written and either pull from it or use it as inspo. And because you do forget what you have been involved with and what you've kind of thought about and what you reflected on. So I found that really, really good. So for like example, had to do an interview and I used the information on my portfolio to kind of get prepared for it. Because I had documented different times that I'd used the leadership skills or how I was with working in a team. But with my experience of being in Etern, although I'm only new to it, it's been really beneficial as a student teacher because it's shown me how using a digital platform allows you the flexibility and creativity to enhance digital learning and engagement with students. And even Orno saying the quote from a student just there about like regurgitating information, like sometimes it's like how useful that can that be, but I find reflecting on my experiences, I learn so much, and that's what ePortfolios really does for me. But overall, my experience with creating ePortfolios has been really positive, and I'm really looking forward to creating more and helping promote the use of them to other students and the benefits.
Thank you, Ruby. That's absolutely brilliant. And those are exactly the messages that we're trying to get across to students, that that ePortfolio practice is the benefits far outlast the development of creating a single page for a module, that it really goes beyond, and as Ruby said, there is something that can be of benefit to the future as well. So thanks a million, Ruby. In keeping with the theme, I want to leave the last word to yet another of our students, and Iman is a student Etern with us as well and has been for the last 2 years. So I will just leave Iman with the final word. Maybe I won't leave Iman with the final word. My video doesn't play. It was 1 minute from Iman there. Apologies for that. Anyway, at that point, hopefully what Orna and I have shared with you is simply, I suppose, the landscape view of ePortfolio practice in Ireland, as well as a deeper delve into how our students are using the ePortfolio within Dublin City universities.
Here in Trinity College Dublin, in the Trinity Biomedical